close our prayer books for a little bit now, if you wish to. Thank you, Julie, for beautiful music. Sitting here, that's great. Julian, thanks a lot for getting us going in the right direction. We appreciate that. Now, I think that most of you know that we have recently begun the cycle of the Torah from the beginning. It's a beautiful thing to do. Matter of fact, last Shabbat we did that, I think. And if you notice, that was Simchat Torah, the last of the holy days in the month of Tishri. Now we moved on, and now we are Cheshvan, and we moved our Torah covers from the white ones we use only for the holy days. I don't know if Julian can get that or not. It's hard to say. But we now have our yearly normal blue covers, which are also very beautiful. And what we do is study and interpret the Torah from beginning to end. Beginning to end. And last week we began with the very beginning of the Torah. The very first word. Bereshit. In the beginning.
In the beginning.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. We told the early stories of the mythic life of the first man and woman in the Garden of Eden, their children, etc., etc. But now, according to the rabbis at least, 10 generations after Adam and Eve, 10 generations, the world had deteriorated so much that Hashem, God, Adonai or Elohim, said, Kates kol basar. It is time to end this experiment that I started with the word Bereshit, because the world has become corrupt. And it's we have to stop that corruption. But on second thought, and maybe God has second thoughts, he said maybe not end the world. Let's see if we can start all over again. Start all over again. There's one person on the earth, and I don't know how many people were on the earth then. This is a mythic story, not literal, not a literal story. True in the sense that it teaches a lesson, but probably not true. And every culture has a similar story. God said, I'm going to bring a flood to destroy everything that I made and start all over again, but with a new person who can be the progenitor of a righteous group of people, not like the ones we have now, Sodom and Gomorrah, etc. Well, that'll be later. But now we have, it says, this is a story of Noah. Noah. Well, maybe you have some friends by the name of Noah. N-O-A-H. But in Hebrew, it's Noach. It means a person who's gentle, thoughtful. And it says in Ish Tzaddik Haya. He was a righteous person. Bedorotav. In that generation. Meaning that he was the only person in that entire generation. Said to Noah, of course, I'm going to bring a flood. But I want you to do something. Let's start all over again. Bring your family onto the ark that you're going to build, and every kind of animal, and then we're going to see what happens. And that's what happens. But the rabbis make very much focus on the word bedorotav, in that generation. And they said he was a righteous person, but he wasn't fully righteous. Avraham, who would live 10 generations from then and begin our Hebrew tradition and our Jewish people, he was truly a righteous man. But Noah was a relatively righteous man, bedorotav. So I'm going to ask you the question, and people on the Zoom can answer it also. What was the distinction between Noah, the relatively righteous person, bedorotav, and Avraham, who 10 generations would be known as a true tzaddik? A tzaddik without any qualifications. What was it? The rabbis give different answers to that question, so there's no right answer, and there's no wrong answer. And you have to kind of use your imagination. So let's look at the Zoomers first and see if anybody wants to come up with their understanding. Maybe you read it in the Midrash. It's not in the Torah per se, but it does imply it. What do you think? Anybody up there want to speak up? All right, you had your chance. And now how about the people here in the sanctuary? All right, I'm going to tell you what some of the rabbis, you want to say there?
Well, we didn't have the covenant yet, so, the covenant, Abraham was the spokesperson to say that yes, we agree to the covenant of one God, but I'm not sure what else.
But Noah was an okay guy, but then he got drunk, so he had a weakness of a human being. Now, Abraham saw his father making idols and thought that was wrong, and so he thwarted.
All right, so two things that we learn later in the story. That Noah was a weak person, and when he was inventing wine, he overindulged and became drunk, and that led to some problems. Abraham found a problem, idolatry. But the one thing that the rabbis say is this. When God said to Noah, I'm going to bring a flood, because the people here are not doing the right thing. Noah just said, all right, what do you want me to do? Build an ark. And he did. That seemed like a good thing. But the rabbis say, no, he should have said, maybe you're overreacting. I'm not the only good person on this earth. Maybe there's some other good people. You're going to destroy all of them? What if there are a few other righteous people? Just myself and my family? He should have argued with God. But when Abraham was told by God, I'm going to destroy the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah because they're so evil, Abraham stood up and said, wait a second, God. Are you going to destroy the righteous along with the wicked? Maybe there's some good people in the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. And he had the moral courage to argue with God. Noah was passive. He did what God told him, but he didn't try to stand up and oppose what God was doing. So that's one view of the rabbis. We might agree, we might disagree. Certainly Noah Bedorotav was righteous, and he did what God told him to do. And therefore, you remember from when you were a little kid, you probably heard that story. He took all those animals, brought them in the ark, and the rain came for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. How many days? 40 days, yes. Ben, remember, 40 days. And then the flood withdrew. Rain stopped, and world started again. And maybe it was a little bit better than it was before, maybe it wasn't. And that's the story of Noah. Tzaddik haya, he was a righteous man, bedorotav, in that generation. But as they say, the rabbis say, but if he was living in the days of Abraham, he would not have been considered that righteous, because Abraham was a higher exemplar. So that's the story of Noah. And we can read about it, and we do it from year to year. We don't take it literally. We think of it as an epic story, a mythic story to teach us how to behave. And it's not a bad thing. All right, let's move.